So I used to sell cars, and there used to be 4 or 5 car salesmen in the showroom, and we'd stand there and we'd look out at the car lot in the morning, and we'd wait for people to come in and drive around, and our training included going right out and next to standing in front of someone's car to get them to stop, because it was about making that contact.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have 4 bartenders on, is there a motivational factor? Is there a way that they manage an op, you know,
well,
how they deal with it?
The way that I train people is I make it, there's you know, variety of ways to do it. The way I do it is I make it almost like a competition. I make it whose sales are the highest, because in the long run we're all there to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And if your sales are high, your tips coincide with that. I mean, it's a direct equation of how much money, I say what you ring is what you bring. So the higher your sales are, the more money you make. So it gives everybody the added motivation to go out there and, you know, you not necessarily push sales onto people, but you go out there and when you talk to people and let them know, you know, some specialty drinks we have,
mm-hmm.
chances are they're going to buy them and they're going to be happy with them, and that's the most important part.
Now, how about an upsell? I mean, there's obviously more money in it for the bar. If somebody comes in and wants a well drink, and upsell them to something like an Absolute. Or
that's another thing that comes with time. A lot of new bartenders have a hard time with upsells, but it's very, very easy.
Are there any secrets you can offer to an upsell?
You call it the nod method. You say, if someone orders a vodka tonic, you say, "Would you like Absolute?" And then you give them that little nod there.
The little nod.
A little nod, and
people like to shake their head and go.
90% of the time, when you do that with a little nod, they say yes. But if you don't offer it, they don't know any better. So,
right.
I mean, you'd be surprised how many times it works. I'd say about 90% of the time, you do the, would you like a vodka tonic? Would you like Absolute? You give them a little nod. And
they nod right along with you.
They nod right along with you. You know, it's an extra $1 for them, but, you know, you do that 20 times a night, it's an extra $20. You know?
What you ring is what you bring.
What you bring is what you bring.
That's an extra
$5 in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you do that per the week, it's $25 a week.
Yeah.
So,
and add it up.
It's very easy.
That's just a week.
Yeah, that's just a week. You know, you do it per the month, that's your car payment.
What's your biggest pet peeve walking into a bar?
Like I said, my biggest pet peeve walking into the bar is, I call them robot bartenders. You walk into the bar, they say the same thing to everybody. You sit down, they just like you're almost like disconveniencing them. You're like, you sit down, they're like, "What can I get for you?" Or my all-time worst is, "Hi, my name is Joe, and I'll be taking care of you tonight." That's such a, you know, everybody says that, and it's so impersonal, and it comes off that way.
Did you make up your own?
Well, I have a different line with everybody that comes to the bar.
Everyone's different.
So everybody's different with me. So if someone comes to the bar and they have biker clothes on, I'll say, you know, may say something that it's, you know, it's great weather for bikes, or may ask them if they've been to a bike rally in Myrtle Beach,
mm-hmm.
or somewhere like that. Or other than just saying, "Hi, my name is Joe, what can I get for you today?" To me, that's the worst.
A relevant icebreaker I always found worked good too, yeah. I mean, if a guy came in with really nice shoes on, I'd say, "Hey man, those are some spectacular shoes."
That's
and
the thing.
It likes that.
People behind the bar, people say that I never shut up. But people are going out, and especially nowadays, money's, you know, they want to have a good time. And they don't want that bartender that looks like, you know, he's had the worst day and he doesn't want to be there. Nobody wants to.
Tell me 5 no-nos. When you go out and you get served at a bar, okay, from this point of view, you're being served. What are three of the biggest things that you don't want to see happen from your bartender?
Well, the one being, you don't want to hear the bartenders back there, you know, bitching about how slow it is and how much money they're not making. When you're spending your hard-earned money and you're ordering from them, you don't want to hear them bitching about how they have to serve
you or to someone down the bar.
It doesn't even have to be to you. It can be to each other, but you can clearly hear it.
What about bitching about it on the phone?
Oh,
Joe,
that's number one. Nowadays, if you can't even have the cell phone on you. I mean, because even if you have it in your pocket and you have it on vibrate, you can still see him reaching for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, this is my time. It's not your time.
Right.
Cell phone is by far number one. 2 would be, you know, complaining. or not being happy being there. And a third would be, it's just like I said, the robot bartender. Like that they're just doing their job, no more, no less.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I give them more money if they're doing the least amount they can possibly do?
Right.
So, but cell phone is definitely, nowadays is definitely the worst.
Right. Now, from the other side, you as a manager, what are the top 3 things that you would immediately pull an employee aside, pull a bartender aside, and obviously there's a way to pull them aside right and wrong. You don't want to do that in front of people, but what would stop the merry-go-round for you?
Yeah, well, as a manager, I usually like to wait till after a shift, because you get to figure that person has to continue with their shift. So if you bring them back there, they're going to be upset. The guests are going to pay for it for the rest of the night. So I like to wait till after the shift. But 3, hands down, no, you can lose your job, is, one, is watching a bartender pour. If they're, if your house pours an ounce and a half, and you can, I like to sit there and watch them pour 10 drinks. And if their 10 drinks are consistently well over that, they're costing the company money, and that's basically theft.
Right.
A second one would be not ringing. If someone comes to the bar and they order a drink and the bartender doesn't go to the register and doesn't ring in that drink, to me that tells them they're trying to scam or they're trying to steal, or one, they're just, even if they're just forgetful, still they're not ringing the drink in. That's also costing the company money. So that's something that immediately,
ignorance and forgetfulness is no excuse.
There's no, if you just because you forgot doesn't make it right.
Right.
So I mean that's per, no matter how busy you get, you go to the register, you ring it in, you move on. It doesn't take much time, especially nowadays with the computers, how fast they are. So that is, I would say that would probably be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The second would be watching the pours. A third would be the bartender just flat out just being rude to a guest, or just being, like I said, the robot bartender, but just going a step beyond that and just being very cold to a guest and giving
maybe bringing their bad day into work with them.
Exactly. You bring a bad day into work with you. Not only is that guest the guest that you're waiting on, but they're going to go home and tell somebody. And when people go out nowadays and spend their money, little things bring people to a bar. It's either, I had this great experience with this bartender, you should go there and get their margarita, or the guy never even offered a margarita, and this guy just we had a rum and coke and the meal was cold and the bartender was rude. They're not going back.
Right.
And they're going to tell people. There's one thing that studies show is people tell people about their bad experiences way more than they do their good.
You really got to wow them.
You have to wow people, and and like I said, people, when they're going out and they're spending their money, they're there for dinner and a show. They want their money's worth.
So slow days, Joe. Slow days. I used to own a bar, and it wasn't a big bar, but there's slow days even in big bars.
Yeah.
What would you give for advice on how to effectively deal with it? First off, let's start out with why it needs to be dealt with, and then the effective ways of how to deal with it as a bartender on a slow day versus a busy day, and have it all come together.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, one of the first things I tell new bartenders is you have to learn as a bartender. You're making cash tips. You're not working from paycheck to paycheck. You have to learn to, slow days and busy days, you have to learn to look at how much money you're making, not by the day, because there's going to be slow days. You're going to work a Monday day and it's going to be bad or whatever. You're going to take how much you make by the week or by the month. So, because that's where you pay your bills by the month. You don't pay your bills by the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's a slow day, it's just as important to wow that 3 guests you have all day, because you know what? They're going to come back on the weekend, and they're going to bring their friends, and that's when you're going to be busy.
And they'll keep coming back on that slow day.
And they'll keep coming back on that slow day, so you know what? Your slow day is not as slow anymore.
But what happens when that attitude comes out and it's a slow day and it's presented all around the bar, and what happens to those 3 people that came on that slow day?
first of all, they're not going to come back, and you know, like I said, they're going to tell people, and you know, they're not going to be there on the Friday night when they go out and they want to spend a lot of money. They're going to go to the bar next door. They're not going to want to go see that bartender that was moping around all day and complaining.
Take your good days with your bad days.
The most important part is to take what you make by the week or by the month. So that slow day doesn't mean anything to you. You know what? Think of it as kind of a day off.
Still time you have to invest and be there though.
You have to be there.
And continue to
yeah.
try to build business on that day.
Yeah, that's the days where you build your business for your busy days. Without those slow days, you don't have the busy days. So, like I said, the way that you can look at it is, with your wallet wise, is don't look how much money you're making that day. Look how much money you're making for the week or by the month. And as bartenders, you also have to look how much money you're making cash. So, let's say if you make $10 an hour cash, you would have to be making $15, $16 an hour on the books for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, bartenders have a tendency to be spoiled, and every once in a while you got to bring them back down to earth and let them know, you know.
And right around the corner is another great day for them.
Right, yeah. You know, the next day you might make great money. So you take the 2 days and you equal them off.
And that's what you really make.
And you can't look at what you make by the day, because you know you're gonna have slow days, and when you have those slow days, you know you can't be moping around the bar, because like we said, those slow days build to your busy days.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just if you had someone comes in and you're having a slow day and you're kind of grumpy, and when they come in, they're gonna expect that from you. You know, it's just
right.
It's much better to be happy than
Kind of have to be an actor, don't you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of acting going on back there. Definitely behind the bar.
Now, as far as like in a real high volume situation, we discussed about how some people can overdo it and actually become counterproductive.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
That's a very good point. You get, as a bartender, you get, like we said, sometimes you make more money when there's less people at the bar. Because as a bartender, you have to learn your zones, and you get to a point where you're going as fast as you can efficiently. The drinks are being made right. Once you go past that point, you're actually losing time, because you're making drinks the wrong way. You have to throw drinks away. People are waiting and watching you.
Where remakes can add up to a lot of time.
Remakes can, yeah.
And a lot of material,
It costs the bar a lot of money. So you gotta get to the point where you're going as fast as you can go, efficiently, and don't push that envelope. Because when you push that envelope, there's nothing worse, and I'm sure we've all been there, is going into a bar and seeing a bartender that's past his limits, and it's stressful to look at that bartender flying all around the place. It's stressful, and you don't want to, when you're sitting down trying to have a nice martini, you don't want to see the bartender throwing glasses and dropping drinks. And
have you ever been in a place and just refused to drink the drink that they made because you watched them?
Yeah. I mean, that's the way they, if they starting off, they take their glass and they scoop it in the ice well. So I'm thinking, is the glass chipped? Am I going to have glass in my drink? And then they take the soda nozzle and they stick it right in the ice. How clean is that soda nozzle? And then they reach in with their dirty hand and grab some fruit and squeeze it in my drink and then hand it to me. Like, you think I'm going to drink that? But that's when you get beyond your means, you get that busy. You start making little mistakes like that. You start scooping with your ice, something you would never do. But since you're so busy, you can't take a split second and grab the ice scoop. You're going to put your glass right in there, or reach in with your hand and grab the fruit. You're doing it right in front of somebody. I mean, I'm seeing what you're doing with your hands. Now you want me to drink that? Oh, there's several times where I'll go to bars and I'll ask for plastic cups because I see how they're washing the glasses back there.
Oh yeah.
So can I get a rum and coke in a plastic cup, please?
I have seen places do the drink wash, the glass wash. It's just once in the sink, once in the sanitizer, done.
And
right in the dry rack.
Lipstick still on the rim.
Oh yeah.
You sit there for half an hour and you never watch them change the solution. So yeah, that's why as a bartender you learn a lot of times you'll ask for plastic cups at a bar because how not clean they are. But it comes and it goes with bartenders. Some of them are very, very efficient, and you can tell. They wash their hands constantly. You know, they're using tongs for the fruit, they're using scoops for the ice, and then you get the other ones on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. We're just making all these mistakes right in front of you, and then expect you to drink that drink and pay $8 for it.
And tip them.
And tip $2.
Yeah.
$10 for your dirty hands in my drink. I don't
Thank
think
you.
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
The three most important things to a bartender that's working now, as far as their personality goes and how they treat guests, you know, because that's a personal thing, and it's outside the guidelines of different training procedures. It's what would those three things be, and how to really cultivate a clientele for yourself, I guess, in your profession?
My biggest thing is every guest, every time. So every guest gets treated differently. I mean, every guest gets treated the same, but differently every time. So it's not, you're not, you know, everybody, you're not that robot bartender where it's, hey, how you doing? Every guest is different, and every guest should be treated with respect and, you know, in the way that they're looking for their experience every time. So it's every guest, every time. The second one is the easiest one. It's to have fun. I mean, your smile goes a long way behind that bar. You're back there and you're smiling. People have a tendency to smile with you, and they're there to have fun. I mean, you gotta, you know, loosen up, not take yourself so seriously, and just have fun with them. I mean, that's what really what people want, is they want you to have fun with them. And the second one is to, you know, be a little. Third one would be to be a little personable. You know, share some experiences with them. You know, if you see somebody has a Moosehead Lake shirt on, you say, oh, well, you know, I've been to Moosehead when I was a kid, and we would go hunting or whatever, or, you know, bring experiences that they have, bring them to life. People like to talk about themselves. So, you know, like as you see somebody with a Harley hat on, you know, talk about the new Harley that's out on the market, or maybe have they ever been to a bike rally in Myrtle Beach or Daytona?
Cater to interests.
Cater to people's interests, because people are there, even people that you look at, they kind of want to stay to themselves. People want to talk about themselves, especially when you bring liquor into the mix. You bring liquor into the mix, people tend to loosen up.
It is a loosener.
And they want to talk, you know, they want to talk to you. So, you know, talk with them and do it, you know, be real about it. Don't, you know, people can tell when you're just acting. I surely can.
And
yes,
be genuine.
Yeah, they definitely be genuine. I can tell when somebody's going through the motions with me like that. I go into the bar and I can see the bartenders, you know, all stiff and, you know, just going through the motions. I can read that like a book, and it turns me off, and I just want to leave. So definitely be genuine, be energetic, be fun, but, you know, give people an experience.